Insights here with our group of analysts this morning, talking about news and analysis that's out there, valuable to save time for the busy AI executive trying to create value for their enterprise. So today it's sponsored by GAI Insights, and let's get into it. We've got a series of stories that cover things like new investments in the creation of dialogue capturing generative AI for medicine, backing of some robotic startups, collaborations among some of the big technology vendors, as well as some thoughtful analysis. And we're going to go through those and tell you whether they're essential, informational, important or optional in our EIO framework. All right. Let's start with first, we're going to start with a use case in terms of generative AI in pharma, moving from hype to reality. So who would like to come in on this one? How about Tanya? I know you are deep into AI in biopharma. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, thank you, John. Good morning. It is a 25-page report, so I'll be honest, I didn't get to read it, but I did read the executive summary that the article has, and I would say this is important for the pharma industry to definitely read. There are topics that we know already where AI is going to help, right? We've already reviewed articles about making clinical trials more efficient. We've talked about, regulatory approvals can be done quicker with generative AI, but what I like about what I read in the executive summary is that it's a pretty in-depth research that McKinsey Global Institute has done. And so they've taken a more disciplined approach of really looking at different use cases within their client portfolio. So I am sure that there's some good content in the 25 page, but maybe after I read it, I can come back with a better summary. But I would say anyone in the pharma, this is probably it's a reputable firm, and it's an important topic to discuss.
Yeah, I did get through it on a skim, and I would say there are also some use cases in operations and other areas that would transfer over to other industries. So I think it's worth digging into those areas that are obviously functions in many companies, just to get inspiration for executives in other industries.
David, as a former McKinsey editor on this, how would you rate this? Yours?
I know I was reading at it thinking to myself, I would have been doing this report if I was. It's good. By the way, it's based the sizing analysis, the valuation is based on work actually that was done when I was there so it's from like a good 8 months ago or whatever, but it's okay. I mean, they take obviously a very high view, and it's just a prediction, but I thought they did a good job. As Tanya said, it's a lot of things that we already know that are happening or about to happen, but it's good.
Yeah, I would say important. What I love is in the report, they actually break out the wins areas, if you will. The research and discovery, clinical development, operations, commercial, and medical affairs. So I think that's where executives need to go, is that next level down about, okay, where exactly should I look, and how big is the size of the prize? And they size that prize. So I think it's both data-wise and methodologically a good way to think about the problem.
Yeah, I like that too. I like the breakdown. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to note that this is not news, but important to read, especially for pharma folks. So maybe we should just state it in our overview.
Yep. In the category of use case and/or analysis. All right. So important. We start today with something important on Friday. All right. Amanda, nothing burger here? What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much. I think this is more a marketing type thing. I'd say this one's optional.
All right. My question is that a human in the picture?
No, but when I actually had seen this last night before you put it in here, and I was going to put this in as a joke because I watched a bunch of videos with this. They have two robots, this one and there's another one, and they really couldn't have made them any creepier looking. The other one has a face that reminds me of like if you were in the 1980s and you watched a movie about what robots would look like, it would look like that. But their movements are odd. Their movements are very jerky, by the way. Even though he looks like a human, they showed it like opening a door and stuff, and it's It's
For-
very odd. But
For anyone that
this firm has a lot of huge backers, like OpenAI. There's some other of the more major venture capital firms that are investing in this one. So I found that interesting.
Yeah, and the other thing I would add, I mean, it's not just, hey, this is something we're planning on doing. Like they have them in production, right? They were saying some hospitals are using some of these robots. But like you, Dave, when I saw this one doesn't have a face. There's one that has the eyes. It's really creepy, and the robot smiles. The other thing is when they show the robot making the cookies, I mean, I'm just like, well, you have to wash your hands after you touch eggs. So where is that step, you know? So I don't know how that part's going to work. You know?
Michael's staying in the room. It's reminiscent of Blue Man. That's a good call.
Yes.
It look like that.
It is.
Awesome.
Optional.
So optional it is. All right. So Google DeepMind going toward conversational diagnostic AI. Adam, you have an opinion?
It's interesting. It's certainly optional. It's pretty early research. I like the concept of sort of taking a slightly different approach to large language models in terms of diagnostic conversational models and sort of some of the outcomes that they can be fine-tuned and developed to build. But in terms of, it would have no really material impact on our target audience at this point.
All righty. I would go for optional. I used to be on the board of a medical software company that did a lot of this kind of work, and I do think it's interesting. Yeah, I wonder, you know, I don't know enough about this articulate medical intelligence explorer approach, but I've got to believe when you have a probabilistic underpinning, it's still going to be kind of challenging on the diagnostic side, you know, until you have some ontology that is much more robust, you know, but we'll see.
Yeah. Given this one has diagnostic capabilities, I was imagining the headlines that could come off this from sensationalist newspapers, you know, generative AI to replace doctors.
Well, shouldn't we combine this with the 1X robot? And he could be the guy.
Awesome.
I would not go to that.
I agree with optional, but something to highlight here. I think what they're trying to do is put more human face and interactions, human type of interaction in the diagnostic. So they will match it with deterministic decision trees. I didn't read the article fully, but that's what I think is happening. And it will start happening not in medical, but in other places as well, so that you can be much more tighter on finding the areas where the problem is, so the problem areas. So this is an interesting trending development, but I think optional for now.
All right.
One thing may be confusing, it's talking about the diagnostic, and I'm wondering if they're really also including the kind of symptom gathering step, because I think that's something that might be easily automated with, you know, with the machines where people are comfortable dealing with, not the actual diagnostic if they got cancer. But
correct. It's like narrowing. It's a triage. I read it as a triage. Really, it's like narrowing the field and then getting the collecting all the potential symptoms and then going at it with a human.
I was talking to the chief operating officer of a large electronic health record company yesterday, and they're totally focused in terms of one of the major areas of automation is to get ambient information to help with the medical record, and then also to augment the analysis of that interaction into payment codes, the DRGs. So this is going to be an active area.
It will be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I just want to note, excuse me, John, that Michael online is noting that the intake usually is patient-facing. I'm not sure,
Yes.
Michael, if you're, I guess that's patient-facing today, yeah.
For sure. All right, so next. All right. This is, marriage of the second tier. Yeah, I mean, IBM and SAP came together. You know, whatever.
Paul's got it.
Paul.
It's been
Yeah.
a nothing burger week.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I hear you. At the same time, desperate companies do interesting things sometimes. The challenge is that if you look at IBM, they're not generating a lot of excess funds to invest. Depending on how you do their accounting, they may actually have, such tech debt that they've built up because of their disinvestment in R&D. They may not have a lot of dough to throw into this. And SAP also. I mean, the EBITDA generated by IBM last year was negative. SAP, I think, was in single-digit billions. They're competing against people who've got, 20, 50, $100 billion a year. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, I certainly agree with Nothing Burger, but this will spread the implementation across many mid-level companies and the like in retail, good, in this packaged goods and retail industries.
Yeah.
So this is good. This is really goodness, but optional for the news.
All right, optional. Next.
Next is the Censure report.
Yeah, I think this is. I think this is worthwhile. I think this is important, and because they focus a lot on this notion of dialogue, which we've talked about, and I think that the dialogue and this what they call spatial computing are going to be interesting because it's about capturing the environment and making it more human-like, that human by design stuff. Anyway, I thought it was a good analysis in terms of where that could take organizations and markets and customer interactions.
Yeah, it's not news, but definitely an interesting read. I looked up one of the companies that they referenced in here as one that was had an offering that they were considering like an agent to agent type of interaction called Do Not Pay, which is something I might want to look into for the number of parking tickets I get.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's going to be everybody's going to have an agent, right? It's not going to be like it's going to be like Hollywood on steroids. And my agent will talk to your agent and all that good stuff, right? I think the military is going to lead a lot of this, right? Disinformation and robotic warfare. It's going to create whole new paradigms, I would think. Adam, what do you think? Do you have a chance to take a look at this bad boy?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty optional.
All right. So optional. We'll go on optional or important on this.
No, I think we should highlight. It's not news,
Right.
but I think we should highlight it's to our audience that this is a more in depth, some cases, and this is worth reading. So
All right.
I would put important on it.
Oh, sorry, we on the Accenture trend?
Yes.
Yeah. Which article are we doing? Because there's a purple thing, but I'm looking at prepare for AI-powered agent ecosystems.
That's what this is. This is ZDNet.
I didn't see that. So for me,
yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say I was important on this one just because of the stressing of the usage of agents out there, because I think it's starting to dominate a little bit, and like everybody else has kind of been touching on the agent to agent. I guess I don't know if I want to call it a capability, but that going on within generative AI and an AI in particular, I think is important. So I'm actually on the important camp on this one.
All right.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry. I actually think this is quite important that people understand. This is not anything official, but I've been sort of hearing rumors bubbling around about how soon GPT 4.5 is coming, how soon GPT 5.0 is coming, and how soon AGI are coming.
Yes.
Rumors coming out of OpenAI, and I think I don't know where I heard this quote from, but that Sam Altman was saying that people should start preparing at least for GPT-5 as they're building. And absolutely, that's going to have completely autonomous agentic systems, right? Where you're going to have an agent that's basically acting on your behalf and then managing a whole suite of other agents that are going out and executing on tasks, bringing back results, and then it's compiling them and spinning off other tasks. And that broader concept, we reviewed an article a couple of weeks ago from OpenAI about super agents and agentic systems as well. I think it's important that our audience start to understand that landscape, because it really is coming quite quickly.
Agreed.
All right. Important it is. All right. We have one more. Is that it, Paul?
That's the last one, John.
All right. Well, so just in summary, when you think about what's going on here, we have a continued funding on robotics. Big impact on certain industries with the WINS capabilities. That's words, images, numbers, and sounds. Such as pharma, and the creation of certainly a GenAI capability in all the existing stuff, whether it be SAP or IBM and so forth, as well as a whole new paradigm coming to us, which is agent-based. And when you think about what organizations and markets are about, it's really getting at the core of that with this kind of cognitive reapportionment, thinking reapportionment, and market-based behavior that's going to be available all the way down to the individual as well as within organizations. So the speed of change continues to increase, and we hope you find this useful. Have a great weekend.